Hello, I'm Paul the Asset Nicholson, and I'm here with the 10-time world champion Trina Gulliver, MBE. And we're going to be doing breaks of throw today, and we're going to look into a couple of ladies. We're going to start with Kirsty Hutchinson because she has a somewhat idiosyncratic throw, and she does have a lot of aspects to it. So let us have a little bit of a delve into the tendencies of Kirsty. So here, as we can see, Trina, this is the Kirsty Hutchinson throw. I think, based on what her throw has been like over the years, I don't think it's got as much movement as it once had. She's less exaggerated with this somewhat vertical position as she may have had 4 or 5 years ago. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a lot smoother kind of transition with the dart, and she's places her top 2 fingers over the top of the barrel, and with her thumb underneath, and throws from a height and then draws it in.
That is the first thing that really pops out, isn't it? She's throwing or addressing from a very high position. Now, if she doesn't bring the dart to a lower position after that start, she's going to be throwing with the dart out of her eye line. So this somewhat idiosyncratic starting position, it is a bit unusual, isn't it?
It is a bit unusual, but as you can see, she brings it into her eye line and then releases the dart and goes through the motion and releases the dart. So, but yeah, she starts off. It is a bit unusual, but it works for her.
There's also a point with Kirsty's throw that nothing seems to stop. There's always something moving. So when she's bringing the dart to a dress point, we can see that something is always in flow. And when she gets to the top, she brings the elbow down and then throws. So it's very much a continuous motion, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's quite rhythmic, if that's the correct word to use. But yes, she draws it into her eye line and then throws.
Okay, so when the dart comes back and then she has a continuous, almost slow motion throw, she delivers the dart and the follow through is quite rapid and it has a bit of a coil, then a recoil with the wrist. So when the wrist comes through, you can see it actually going over quite viciously, and it almost reminds me of Michael van Gerwen a little bit.
Yeah, it does a little bit, and she almost flicks her wrist on the last movement of her arm. And it does remind me a little bit of Michael van Gerwen, yeah.
Well, let's have a look at a little bit of a different shot here because we want to see where she grips the dart and why that would have an effect on how the dart sits in the board. We can see with a little bit of slow motion here that Kirsty is putting those 2 fingers on the top of the barrel, but the thumb position, as you can see, is very close to the top of the barrel and even into the stem. There it is right there. So that stipulates that when the dart comes out of the hand, it should be giving her an angle of attack in the board that is quite upright. And that's what she gets.
Yeah, exactly that. And her darts stick in that they do tend to sit upright, yes.
There you can see the flexing of the wrist at the end. And this is proof right here that if you do this many, many, many times, we're talking about tens of thousands of times, it can put a little bit of strain on the lead wrist. So it's really important to warm those wrists up pre-throw or pre-tournament and just to give them a little bit of fluidity when the tournament is over. These are the forgotten things that people really should be doing to stop yourself from getting repetitive strain injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's no different to any other sport. You have to warm up the muscles that you use. And stretches and things like that are very important.
One thing that we've noticed with Kirsty's throw as well is that there is something happening on the third dart. And this is probably something that she doesn't pick up on because when we're dart players, we do things somewhat subconsciously. So let's have a look at Kirsty in real time and see what we can possibly improve on here. We do know that Kirsty has been struggling with dartitis in recent months. That's why she's holding that red dart, which doesn't have a point, Trina.
No, it doesn't have a point. It's just she's been having trouble releasing her third dart, whereas sometimes when you get dartitis, it's your first dart that you struggle to release. However, with Kirsty, it's her third. So she's just having that in her hand as a comfort blanket, I guess, as to she doesn't feel like it's her last dart.
It's a bit of an old trick, isn't it? Because I've seen a guy on the tour called Pete Allen from London who used to carry 4 darts I don't know whether he did it for the very same reason, but it was almost a way of saying, I don't have to feel as urgent with the third dart because there's one there. It's a bit of a trick of the mind, isn't it?
It is a bit of a trick of the mind. And yeah, I'm not so sure with Pete Allen. I know who you were on about. Yeah, I'm not so sure whether it was for that reason or whether it's because he kept dropping them, actually. But not so sure.
As far as Oki position is concerned with Kirsty, she stands a little bit right of centre. This is very much a personal choice, isn't it? Because we know that Andrew Gilding and Mervyn King, they stand all the way down to the left-hand side as they look at it. Stephen Bunting and some other players have gone all the way to the right-hand side. But it's very much about eye alignment and comfort, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's where you feel comfortable on the Oki. You know, there's nothing right or wrong. It's where you feel comfortable and where you throw your best arrows from. However, you do have to have the ability to move up and down the Oki should you block your shot.
One of the symptoms as well of third dart related dartitis, we've mentioned the extra dart to give her a little bit of extra comfort. But when it comes to the throwing of dart 3, there is something that happens as a result of some small insecurities with the dartitis. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at Kirsty and throwing that third dart and what happens to her body and her shoulder position when she throws it. So this is her throw in real time. There goes dart 1, there goes dart 2. The body position is the same, but as soon as she goes into dart 3, there's a leaning there. From that slightly right of centre position, when this third dart comes through, look at the alignment of the body. It changes completely, and that left foot is going to come forward. There it goes.
Yeah.
And the dart isn't even in vision yet.
Mm. Yeah, it's like you say, that's part of the dartitis, and yeah, she's moving slightly before she's released the dart.
One of the things that she could potentially do with this, I know this is very easy to say in theory, but it's just to make sure that that left foot is planted in a very light way. You don't have to have it flat on the Oki, whether it's heel and toe at the same time. Just make sure that that left foot is in a very comfortable, stable position, that it's still on the floor as you're throwing the dart. If that's something you can do, that might improve her third dart, and we wish her well. We really hope she can come through this, because Kirsty is a fabulous player, isn't she?
Oh, she's an absolute fantastic player, and when she's on it, she's a really tough player to beat.
That was Kirsty Hutchinson. We hope she gets something from it. We know we did. Hello and welcome back to Break of Throws, because I'm still here and the 10-time Women's World Champion is still here. And we're actually going to look into another Women's World Champion now, the 2-time champion, which is Japan's Mikuru Suzuki. She is a little bit different to most players that you see because she is from a different culture. She is small in stature, but very much larger than life. So let's have a little look at Mikuru in action. Here we can see Mikuru beating Chris Hurds, and there is the typical cultural bow of the Japanese. Love that. I remember when Hideki Matsuyama won the Masters and his caddy placed the flag in the 18th hole and then bowed at the flag, just showing great amounts of respect. And with Adi Mason, the referee there, and Chris Hurds, the opponent, seeing the victory for Mikuru, you can also see that she's taking earplugs out in a silent room. Interesting, that one, Trina.
It's probably habit, to be fair. You know, she's played with them before, obviously on stage and things like that. There's no ruling against that. So it's probably become a bit of a ritual for her. So she's done it exactly the same, her routine.
Have you played in earplugs yourself?
No, I haven't. Played in earplugs. I don't think I could manage that.
I've done it, and what I can say is it does promote this aspect of you being in your own little bubble. But if you do it wrong, it feels like you're playing underwater, which is a very, very strange feeling. But if it works for you, you have to do what works best. And obviously in this game that you won 4-1 against Chris, it worked very, very well. But what we want to do is try and break down the throw of Mikuru a little bit more now, because she does have her own tendencies. So let's have a little look. So we have a different shot here, and a different haircut, and a different dart shirt. So she is a follower of fashion, and she'll throw a great dart here at double 8. Superbly done. But one of the bigger aspects I have seen with her throw, and you picked up on it as well, Trina, is that there's a very large gap between the index finger and the middle finger on different parts of the barrel.
Yeah, she throws with one finger at the top of the barrel and the thumb directly underneath it towards the back of the barrel. And then her third finger is way ahead on the point. Yeah,
these darts are not very short at all. I know she's quite a short person, but these darts have got a little bit of length. But her hand is actually spread quite wide on this setup. And she's got a great deal of stability with the throw. And she thrusts it with great violence because she has to from such a short height from the floor. But I think this gap between the index finger and the middle finger is fascinating because ordinarily if you do that, it actually creates a little bit of tension in the palm. So everyone's got their own little foibles and Mikuru's got hers. What we notice there is this action where the body calibrates from a more front-on position to a side-on position. In coaching terms, this is like a sprinkler head. It used to be a famous dance done by some cricketers, but it's where the body moves from here to here. It's almost as if she calibrates in a horizontal manner, not in a vertical manner. So it's going from right to left. And the only person I can really think of off the top of my head who used to do that was Simon Whitlock. So he would go from right to left and figure out the alignment that way. It is a little bit unusual.
It is unusual, but she, like you say, she starts, her arm starts out to the right, but she calibrates a whole body round. So yes, it's a bit unusual, but as you say, it works for her.
Yeah, it definitely works. 2-time world champion back-to-back in 2 different venues as well. And she also has this thing that she does, which reminds me of Benito van der Pas. Back in 2016, when he was having a really good year, I noticed he used to have this squint when he was just about to throw. It's almost as if someone was turning him into an assassin. And Mikuru has this as well. She has this squinting of the eyes. I don't know whether her vision is perfect or not, but when those eyes get squinted, you know that something good's going to happen. There you can see, in a very small sense, the eyes just close the tiniest little bit, and it seems to work. And when she thrusts the dart forward, just like this, you can see that her body is very much side on, but the arm stays in line with the shot.
Yeah, it's very, very direct as far as that's concerned. Follow through is very direct. And yeah, you see the slight squint of the eye there. It's like it's as if she brings the dart into aim and squints and releases.
The fingers are curious because everyone's got their own different ways of following through. Some of them are more violent than others. Now, if you look at someone like Steve Beaton, he tends to place his hand through the air like this. Rima van Barneveld is very, very smooth, but with Mikuru, maybe because of her lack of height and she has to throw upwards against gravity, that's one of the reasons why her throw sees the fingers like this. They actually go upwards and they have quite a violent coil.
It's kind of like a bit of a thrust, isn't it? I would explain it as. And yeah, it's like you say, she's thrown from that slightly lower than most. No disrespect, Mikuru. But she's having to flick it upwards kind of thing and thrust it through.
I think it's one of the most silky smooth actions with a little bit of violence at the end. It's almost as if her arm kicks through the air, but it seems to work for her, whether it's soft tip or steel tip, because wherever she goes, she seems to win.
Absolutely. There's no need for her to change it.
Yeah, don't change Mikuru. You heard it from Trina and from myself.